Welcome, y'all. Today I'm in the hot seat and we are celebrating a very amazing time of the year. Award season. We have the Academy Awards coming up really soon. We have just had, the BAFTAs, the SAG Awards, the Golden Globes. We have seen the results of those, and I'm excited to talk about what we're about to see in the Academy Awards, and I'm even more excited to make my predictions. I'm a little cocky, so, I'm going to walk into these predictions with the utmost confidence, and I'm also going to use some data just looking at, the award ceremonies that have just passed. So, with that being said, I want to first shout out to all the filmmakers and everybody involved in these award shows this year. I think it's a really, really exciting award season. And I'm also super impressed at how many films this year are coming from, all different parts of the world. This is probably one of the first years that a good majority of these films that are nominated for Academy Awards or, the SAG Awards, et cetera, this is one of the first years that they're coming from all parts of the world. And we're really seeing this, this big international movement. So that's exciting to me. It means that film is really being more globalized. It means that there's, a much larger audience for it now. And also it means that, we have finally caught up because it's not just about America. It's about, celebrating films from all over the world. And not only that, celebrating stories from all over the world. So anyways, that was my little rant. I'm excited. And I'm going to just jump right into it. We're going to go through each different category for the Academy Awards. I'll kind of, walk through a couple of the nominees. I'll walk through who I want to win. And then I'll also tell you who I think will win, because some of these two don't always line up, okay? So without further ado, let's get into this. The Academy Awards 2025. These are my predictions. So, first, we have actor in a leading role. We have Adrien Brody for The Brutalist, Timothée Chalamet for A Complete Unknown, Colman Domingo for Sing Sing, Ralph Fiennes for Conclave, and Sebastian Stan for The Apprentice. So, I personally want Ralph Fiennes to win. Ralph Fiennes has been nominated a couple times, but he's never won, and I really do think he deserves this W. But don't get me wrong, this is a very, very competitive category. I really think that Timothée Chalamet did an incredible job portraying Bob Dylan in A Complete Unknown. I don't want to discredit him. I think Timothée is so legendary. I think Timothée Chalamet will hands down be one of the most legendary actors in history. He's already so iconic. He's not even 30 years old yet. The guy is incredible. Don't discredit Timothée Chalamet. He is out to be one of the top actors ever. And I think he did an amazing job portraying Bob Dylan. And I think what was cool about that movie actually was that, the fact that Timothée was actually singing, and a lot of those, the songs that you hear in the movie are recorded from Timothée. It's not Bob Dylan's voice. It's not like when you're watching Bohemian Rhapsody and they're actually using Freddie Mercury's voice instead of Rami Malek. It's, in this instance, they weren't even using Bob Dylan's voice. And I think that alone just goes to show how, dedicated and multifaceted and talented Timothée is. And when you actually watch side-by-side footage of Bob's performances, and then you look at the footage from A Complete Unknown, I think Timothée did a pretty good job, like matching Bob's, his cadence, his tempo, his sound, his voice. So I don't want to discredit him, but the reason why I think Ralph Fiennes intrigues me so much in this role is that I just really saw him as the Pope. I know he ultimately he wasn't actually the Pope, but I ultimately was so convinced by him. I felt his emotion, I felt his character, and I feel like if I were to compare, all these actors in this category. I'm just going by how they make me feel. So if I were to go by, the intuitive feeling that these characters gave me, I would put Ralph Fiennes at top. I would put Adrien Brody second, and then I would put Timothée Chalamet in third place. And I don't mean to rank them. It's a very close ranking. I also feel kind of unjust doing that, but I just want to kind of explain what I'm intuitively feeling and how I intuitively felt watching these actors in their respective films. So anyways, with that being said, even though I want Ralph Fiennes to win, I actually think this is going to be a toss-up between Adrien Brody and Timothée Chalamet. Timothée Chalamet won the SAG Awards. Adrien Brody, however, won the BAFTA, and he also won a Golden Globe for the drama category. And so here's what I think can happen this year for the actor category. I think that, historically, we've kind of seen the Academy make certain actors wait. Like DiCaprio, took DiCaprio years. Like Leo didn't get his Oscar till several years, later in his career, even though he deserved it for many roles prior. And I believe with even with Brad Pitt, they made him wait as well, And so there's certain actors who, I don't know if it's like a thing of age or a thing of experience. And Timothy's already been nominated. Timothy's been nominated, not necessarily for Best Actor. I think he was nominated once prior to this, but just in general, like Timothee has been in Academy Award nominated films since his career pretty much started, or since he blew up from Call Me By Your Name. So with that being said, I think he's going to have a lot more opportunities. I think the Academy may not give it to him this quickly, but if Timothee did win the Academy Award, he would actually break Adrien Brody's age record, and get it at age 29. Now Adrien Brody, I believe he got this Academy Award for the actor in a leading role also at age 29, but I think he was about to turn 30 from what I researched. Timothee, on the other hand, I think he actually just turned 29 more recently. And so if Timothee gets this award, it would make him the youngest actor to win that category. And so it's exciting. I do think it's a toss-up between them. Because Timothee won the SAG Award, maybe there's a chance. But I also do think the committee for the SAG Awards is a little bit different than the Academy. And I think there's a lot more crossover between the Academy and the Golden Globes / the BAFTAs than there is the SAG Awards. However, there's still a lot of people from the SAG Awards who are also in the Academy. So I don't know, it's a toss-up. But if I had to choose one person, I think it's going to be Adrien Brody. Even though I would be so stoked if Timothee won, I would be stoked if Ralph Fiennes won, because he's still, I think, intuitively my top choice. Anyways, moving on. That is my choice for actor in a leading role. Next, we have actor in a supporting role. Yura Borisov for Anora. We have Kieran Culkin for Real Pain, Edward Norton for A Complete Unknown, Guy Pearce for Brutalist, and Jeremy Strong for The Apprentice. Wow. Well, it's been a clean sweep. Kieran Culkin has won the actor in a supporting role for pretty much everything, for the BAFTAs, the SAG Awards, the Golden Globes. And I think he has this one in the bag. I'd be very surprised if he doesn't win this one. However, who I want to win is Yura Borisov from Anora. I think his character is amazing. I honestly fell in love with this character. I thought he was so genuine, so real. I really felt like the feeling that Yura gave me in Anora was so genuine. And I also love just him as a person. I think he's such a cool dude. So out of these nominees, he is my favorite. He is who I want to win. But just kind of basing it off the history of, the recent awards, I think Kieran Culkin has this in the bag. So I think he is going to win actor in a supporting role. Next, we have actress in a leading role. Oh man, this is a tough one. This is actually very difficult. So let me just say this, okay? Cynthia Erivo blew me away. Like Cynthia Erivo is truly deserving of this actress in a leading role W. She deserves a W. But what's happening this year is that, the competition is extremely fierce. And because the competition is fierce, because the films are so good this year, I'm not convinced that she's going to win, even though I really think she is deserving of it, and I would like to see her win. But again, there's all the actresses in this category are amazing. With Anora, I love how invested I got with, Mikey Madison's character. I was rooting for her. I wanted her to win. And I ultimately kind of got crushed at the end when she didn't get that happy ending. She didn't really get what I felt like she deserved. And the fact that I got so invested into Mikey's character just makes me feel like she could be deserving of this role. However, we also have The Substance, and we also have I'm Still Here, and we have Demi Moore for The Substance, and we have Fernanda Torres for I'm Still Here, and they're both amazing as well. So it's tough. Like with The Substance, Demi Moore in that role were like a match made in heaven. I think when I watched The Substance and when I finished The Substance, one of the first things I thought was like, okay, Demi Moore, this is Demi Moore's time. Like, this is her opportunity. Demi Moore's been in the spotlight for a while, and she actually hasn't won an Academy Award ever. So I think this is a very fitting time for Demi, especially given the context of The Substance, which is about an actress who's kind of lost her way out of the spotlight. I think this would be almost a great, I don't know if it's irony, but it would be like it would kind of be like the chef's kiss if Demi Moore won. And so, in my opinion, Demi Moore deserves the Oscar for the actress in a leading role category. Demi Moore deserves this W. I think she should win. And I also think, given the historical context of the past awards that have just happened, I think she has a good chance of winning. So not only do I want Demi Moore to win, but I also think she's going to win as well. Next, we have actress in a supporting role. Let me just say this. Ariana Grande completely blew me away in Wicked. Ariana Grande was incredible in Wicked. And I was honestly so incredibly amazed by her performance, from her acting to her singing. She really was the perfect candidate to play Glinda. And I really can't see anybody else, having that role now, even though we've, obviously Wicked has historically been around in Broadway and in plays and in live theater. I feel like Ariana Grande embodies Glinda. And I'm gonna be honest, I haven't even seen Wicked live, so I'm extremely biased, and you're probably going to disagree with my opinion, but I think Ariana Grande is perfect for Glinda. I think Ariana Grande was perfect for the role, and she really crushed it. I think she is very deserving of this supporting role nomination, and I think she deserves to potentially win it. However, we also have Felicity Jones from The Brutalist, and I really like Felicity Jones. I was pleasantly surprised with how much her character moved me, because I didn't think her character would have such a significant role, because in The Brutalist, Felicity's character is introduced a little bit later, but I love the dynamic she brought to the film. I love her authority. I love how much she moved me. And so for this category, it's a toss-up for me. If we look at history of who has won this category over this awards season, it looks like Zoe Saldana is probably going to win this. She swept everything. She won the SAG Award, the BAFTAs, the Golden Globes. And so I would actually be surprised if Zoe Saldana doesn't get this. And the thing with Zoe is that I actually do agree that she had a very strong presence in Emilia Perez. I think she was incredible with her singing and her acting and what she brought to the table. I just think that the film really came short of pretty much everybody's expectations. And because the film was a disappointment to a lot of us, I think it almost maybe her efforts were kind of undermined. But when you really look at it, like when you look at Emilia Perez, Zoe Saldana was really probably the best thing about that film. And by the way, I actually really like Selena Gomez in that film as well. I thought Selena Gomez did a pretty good job. I thought she did a great job. I know some people were, talking about her accent or she had a weird dialect, or maybe her Spanish was a little bit off or off-putting, but you got to understand, like Selena really, she gave it her all. And coming from, a first generation, who grew up here, but his parents immigrated. For us, when we're adapting or adjusting to a new culture, or even growing up here, like even though I was born in America, I still kind of grew up with a dual culture, and I grew up with dual languages. And what happened was that I first learned Farsi, my native language, and then I learned English. And what happened over time was that my Farsi got worse and my English got better, and now I'm significantly better at speaking English than Farsi. But I can still somewhat speak it. I'm still a little conversational, but I do mix it, and I do mix the language. I have like kind of weird accent, like a weird American accent when I speak Farsi, but I shouldn't be necessarily discredited for it because I really try, and that's just who I am. And so I think the argument some people are making is that maybe Selena wasn't a good fit for her role in Emilia Perez, or that maybe she should have, worked on her Spanish. Or maybe they should have used like AI, kind of like how people are saying they used AI to enhance Adrian Brody's speech in The Brutalist. And so maybe that's a good use case for AI, because I don't think Selena was bad. I really don't. Sorry if you disagree with me. That's just what I think. What I'm saying is cut her some slack. I do want to cut Zoe Saldana some slack because I think she really did outshine the movie almost. And anyways, I got off track. Anyways, going back on track, who I want to win is Ariana Grande. Who I think will win is Zoe Saldana. And I think it's a close call with who I want to win. I was originally, convinced about Felicity Jones, but when I was just thinking about Ariana and the performance she gave and how she put it all together in Wicked, I gotta say, I think she's my favorite for that category. So anyways, my pick, Ariana. Who I think will win, Zoe Saldana. Next, we have animated feature film. I'm going to be honest, I haven't really seen the animated feature films this year. I've only heard great things about The Wild Robot. And so I don't really have an opinion on who I want to win, but who I think will win is The Wild Robot. I don't have any context about or basis about this decision. I don't have any information about this decision. I'm just simply going by what I've heard about the animated films. And next we have, I'm actually going to skip over animated short because I haven't seen any of these. I don't want to judge them since I haven't seen them. I just do want to shout out In the Shadow of the Cypress. Seems like these are Iranian filmmakers, Shirin Sohani and Hossein Molayemi. So, gotta represent, man. Shout out to all the Iranians, all the Persians out there. I hope you guys take this home. Next, we have cinematography. This is a crazy category. I think this category is actually kind of nuts. Let's start with The Brutalist. It's shot like an art piece. It's like you're looking at like a real life architectural digest issue, or like a real life, magazine, right? I love how they filmed this movie. I love how they color graded. I love how they lit it. Everything about the cinematography, about The Brutalist, it's up my alley. And it dives more into the type of films that I personally want to make. Then you have Dune Part 2. And I'll admit, I haven't seen the second Dune. I've only seen the first one, which the cinematography was insane. But from the clips I've seen and what I've seen online, I mean, the cinematography is nuts. It's just as good as the first one. I believe Greg Fraser shot this. And dude, the guy's a legend. And the cinematography in both Dune movies is untouchable. And it's very aesthetically pleasing. So that is a very tough, that's very tough competition for this category. Emilia Perez was also nominated for cinematography. I actually thought, the cinematography was one of the better things about the film. Like, it was performative. It is a musical. So there are musical cues, lighting cues. I liked some of the lighting cues and the lighting setups. And so I'm not mad at Emilia Perez, but do I think it deserves the award for best cinematography? I unfortunately don't. But I thought it was cool. I think if there's a category that it should have been nominated for, this probably is more well suited than some of the other ones. Then we have Nosferatu. Nosferatu is aesthetically incredible. It's moody. It's shaping this incredibly dark and ominous vampire story. I think the cinematography in Nosferatu really made me feel, it gave me like a spooky, ominous, dark feeling. And so I think out of all these films, it made me feel something the most. But again, it's tough. It's in a tough category. I don't think it's necessarily the best, but I think it's definitely deserves to be on this list. And I do want to make note of a film that I think got snubbed. I think Nickel Boys got snubbed in the cinematography category. I mean, you got to think about Nickel Boys and how they shot it. They shot the whole thing through a POV lens. Like, there's not one shot, if I'm not mistaken, that wasn't POV, right? This film, the way they shot it, it's so unique. It feels almost like you're watching a documentary, but you're like watching this documentary through the POV of like two different people. And I can't believe Nickel Boys isn't a true story, because the way they tell the story, the way they shot it, it feels so real. And that to me is great cinematography. When you can shoot something that feels so visceral, so real, you can almost feel it, you can see it, you can smell it, you can taste it. Like Nickel Boys, to me, it deserves to be on this list. So they got snubbed. Anyways, going through all these nominees, I think The Brutalist is going to take this one home. I do want The Brutalist to win, only because I come from music videos, and in music videos, a lot of times we like to shoot things with a sense of fashion, with a sense of uniqueness. I love using a lot of wide lenses. I love to make things a little more abstract. I love to show off architecture. And so The Brutalist, the way they filmed it, just kind of, it struck a chord with me in my music video roots. So I want The Brutalist to win, and I think they're also going to win as well. And I believe they won the BAFTAs as well. Okay. Costume design. This is a good category. A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Gladiator 2, Nosferatu, Wicked. It's actually kind of tough competition. I personally just love the costumes in Wicked. I think Wicked is such a classic. And they really did justice to the live version of Wicked. So I want Wicked to win, and I truly do think Wicked is going to win this one as well. Oh man. Next we have directing. Directing. I am a director. I hope someday I'm going to be in this category at the Academy Awards. Actually, let me rewind. I know someday I'm going to be nominated for the directing category for the Academy Awards. I promise you it's going to happen. I'm manifesting this. Mark this date, mark this episode. I am very confident I'm going to be in this category, and I hope we can look back at this in however many, months, years, whatever, and just realize that I was able to really, manifest and make it come to fruition. I just want to put that out there. I'm recording this, and hopefully it'll just serve as motivation for me. Anyways, and back to the nominees. So we have a lot of amazing movies. We have Anora, directed by Sean Baker. The Brutalist, directed by Brady Corbett. A Complete Unknown, directed by James Mangold. Emilia Perez, directed by Jacques Audiard. And we have The Substance, directed by Coralie Fargeau. I think that's how you say it. I think The Brutalist is a story. It's an example of a movie that I was surprised to find wasn't based on a true story. I kind of said this about Nickel Boys. Like, I think that's how you know it's a great film. When you watch a film and you're like, is this real? Like, is this based on a true story? And it's not. That to me is like a cool indicator for what makes a film so great, because it feels so real. The Brutalist touches on history. They touch on the Holocaust. They touch on the beginning of brutalist architecture. And it's awesome. And the way that Brady directed everyone in this film, it honestly moved me more than I thought it would. And especially Adrien Brody's character. Like, I was genuinely moved by Adrien Brody. And I think a lot of that came with not only how he embodied his character, but also by how Brady directed him. Then, when we get to the substance, Coralie created moments of suspense. She didn't rely on dialogue necessarily. Like the cool thing about the substance is that it of course there's a lot of dialogue, but a lot of the story relied on things that we're not necessarily always used to in traditional film, from like Foley to really cool vivid imagery, but also elements like body language. In the film, when Demi's character is kind of transitioning to this youthful version of herself, and she's like battling, there's like this conflict between the new and hot young her and the middle-aged / old her. To act as if you're hating yourself is kind of a tough thing to do, and I think it takes a lot of great directing to create that character conflict. And so that to me was like the icing on the cake. That was a chef's kiss for me. And in my opinion, I want the substance to win the directing category. I want Coralie to win the directing category. However, the Brutalist won, Brady won the BAFTAs, he won the Golden Globes. And so with that in consideration, I think he has a good shot of winning the Oscar as well. So, I want Coralie to win, but I think Brady's going to win this category. Both great films. I got to give it up for both directors. I mean, I'm inspired by them both. I think this is going to be a close one. Next, we have documentary feature film. I don't have an opinion on these documentary features. I haven't seen them, and so I don't want to formulate an opinion. I also don't have an opinion on documentary short. I'm sorry, y'all. I haven't had a chance to watch all these. I've tried to see most of these films. It's just there's so many movies. So I need to do my due diligence. And so I don't have an opinion on documentary feature or documentary short. Let's skip ahead now to film editing. And this is another category that I think Nickel Boys also actually got snubbed on. Nickel Boys should have been in the film editing category. And I say that because, here's the thing about editing, right? When you talk about editing in short form, like if you're watching a music video or a commercial or something that's, a little more short form, you're generally looking at techniques. You're looking at, how cool something might look. You're not always driven by story. But with a film, it's a little different. With a film, with the exception of Everything Everywhere All at Once, because that was genuinely insanely edited, with film, you want to watch something and feel like the editing is invisible. Same kind of goes for VFX. Like, for example, if, somebody replaced the sky, like let's say the sky is blue, but in the movie, it looks like it's pink with a bunch of beautiful sunset clouds. You don't want it to look obvious. You want it to look as natural as possible. And so I think with editing, the craft of editing should be judged on the same criteria. Like, how invisible does this editing look and how does it drive this story forward? So I think Nickel Boys did a really interesting job because it cut between different POVs, but you don't always think about that. It just feels like you're watching a natural story, about a couple guys, like about a few guys in this camp. And so I think Nickel Boys did a great job. I also love their use of archival footage and again, fake archival stuff. Like none of this was even real. And so I think I would have loved for them to be nominated for this. And I actually have a hard time formulating an opinion for who I think or who I want to win because I really wanted Nickel Boys to get this. But if I had to choose, it's between The Brutalist and Conclave. I'm going to say Conclave. And who I think will win is also Conclave. Next, we have international feature film. Now, it's pretty amazing. You have, a film from Brazil, which is I'm Still Here. You have a film from France, which is Emilia Perez. Then you have a film from Germany. You have a film from Germany, which is The Seed of a Sacred Fig. The Seed of a Sacred Fig is a German film, but it's an Iranian story. And I love that. I think it's so cool how they were able to make this happen. And so this category is tough. You also have, a film from Denmark, which is The Girl with the Needle. And then you have a film from Latvia, which is Flow. Now, what's interesting is Emilia Perez has won the BAFTA. It's won the Golden Globe. It's now experiencing some controversy with the lead actress, with the director. In general, the film has become a little controversial. And I'm going to be honest, I don't think it deserves to win international feature film. Who I want to win is, because I'm biased, is The Seed of the Sacred Fig. I think that deserves to win. I want that to win. But again, that's because of my cultural bias. Who I think will win, I think this is going to be an interesting category. I think the results are going to be interesting because if you look at history, if you look at what has won the recent awards, you would say Emilia Perez. But I think I'm Still Here has a really good shot. I'm Still Here is genuinely a perfect film. From start to finish, you watch it, you're like, okay, this is incredibly well done from all aspects of filmmaking. From the casting to the directing to the way they retold the story. I'm Still Here is based on a true story. They did an amazing job. And so I think that this is actually going to be a very, very interesting result. I do think there's still a chance Emilia Perez wins, but I'm gonna throw a little curveball, and I'm gonna say I'm Still Here wins this category. Let's see what happens. Next, we have makeup and hairstyling. I'm just gonna say it. Okay, my gut said Wicked. Like I wanted Wicked to win, but when I think about the substance, I mean, if you just look at I don't want to spoil this, but the ending of The Substance had the craziest makeup and hairstyling ever. That little scene where she has the single strand of hair and she's using the curling iron and she walks out onto that stage and shit gets crazy. Like that to me was such an insane scene. And it really exemplified the crazy prosthetics and makeup that was used, in that film. However, when I think about makeup and hairstyling from a different perspective, I think of Wicked. Wicked checks all the boxes. They did a phenomenal job. And this is a tough one for me. I think here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say I want The Substance to win, but I think Wicked might take this one. But it's a tough one. I really love The Substance. I really do hope it wins. But just seeing how much of a success Wicked was and how incredible, the glam, the makeup, the hairstyling was, I do think it has a good shot of winning. So who I want, The Substance. Who I think, Wicked. Next we have music, original score. All right, y'all, let's be honest. Challengers got snubbed for original score. Like in the Academy Awards, Challengers got snubbed for original score. Challengers should win this category. Challengers should have not only been nominated, but they should have won. I love all the music in all the other films, but I think Challengers is original. It's timeless. It's new. It's innovative. I would go for this. I wish this was nominated. Given the nominees, I think it might be The Brutalist. Although, I don't know. I don't know if some people will say Emilia Perez because it's a musical. I mean, Wicked as well. Wicked has an amazing score too. I genuinely don't know. The Brutalist won the BAFTAs, and I'm going to just say I think they're also going to win this category. So my hope, my wish is Challengers, but who I think will win is The Brutalist, I think. Next, we have music original song. I don't have an opinion on this. El Mal won for Emilia Perez in the Golden Globes. Maybe they're going to win this as well. I'll just say who I want to win is a question mark. I don't really have an opinion on this. I think Emilia Perez song might win. I'm not really familiar with these other songs in the category, so I'm just going to go with that. Next, we have production design. I was thinking about The Brutalist, and when I was watching The Brutalist, I'm like, did they build these sets? How do they build these beautiful, grandiose homes on that kind of budget? It wasn't like a huge budget. And so that to me was impressive. I don't know if there was a lot of green screen or VFX involved in The Brutalist, which I should probably do my research on. But then I look at a film like Wicked or a film like Dune or Nosferatu. I mean, all these films are insane. The production design is insane, but I think it's going to Wicked. And to be fair, I do think Wicked has the craziest sets, the craziest production design. So I do want them to win, and I do think they'll win. I really do. It's a tough one, but it's got to be Wicked. Live action short. I generally like to watch these. I haven't had a chance to watch these this year, unfortunately. So I don't have an opinion, but I will definitely make a note to watch these, and I wish you all the best of luck. For sound, I also don't have much of an opinion here. It's hard to give, come up with a winner for sound, because like a movie like A Complete Unknown or Emilia Perez, they're musicals. And so I don't know where to like draw the line between music and sound. It's very tricky for me. I know this refers more to maybe sound design or Foley. I haven't really seen Dune 2 in its entirety, and I know this won the BAFTAs, so I'm just gonna go with Dune Part 2 for who I think will win. And who I want to win? Question mark. I don't have an opinion. So we'll just say Dune Part 2. Visual effects. I love the VFX in Wicked. I do. I kind of want them to win. You know what? I want them to win. In fact, out of all the films nominated for visual effects, I've only actually seen Wicked in its entirety. So my vote for who I want to win is Wicked. However, Dune Part 2 did win the BAFTAs. So I think Dune 2 will win the visual effects award. I love VFX. I think if you do VFX properly and make it seamless and beautiful and aesthetic and intentional, you can make it great and you can really enhance a film. So seeing what it did for Wicked, that's why I chose it for my favorite, but I can see why, Dune won the BAFTAs for this, and that's why I'm going to go with this for who I think will win. Next, we have the adapted screenplay category for writing. So I personally want Nickel Boys to win. I love the story. I haven't, read the original. I haven't read the book, but I love how they told the story. I love the writing. I love the way they, the characters embraced and embodied this dialogue. So my personal favorite for who I want to win is Nickel Boys. Who I think will win, on the other hand, is Conclave. Conclave won the BAFTAs. Conclave is still a phenomenal screenplay. I think it's written very well. And I haven't read the original book, but I think seeing how it won the BAFTAs and the success it's had, I do think it's going to win. I think Nickel Boys really deserves to win something. I think Nickel Boys should at least win like one or two categories. So I hope it wins this, but am I optimistic? Not really. And this is for writing for the original screenplay category. This to me is, it's a tough one. They're all written so well. The results are very split. In the BAFTAs, A Real Pain won, but in the Golden Globes, Conclave won. So I don't know. I don't know. I personally, again, I'm a fanboy of The Substance. I want The Substance to win. I believe I read something, or maybe I heard an interview with Coralie, how she was talking about how she's not necessarily the most well-versed person with dialogue. But I think what's so great about The Substance is how she didn't rely on dialogue to fully tell the story. She did such a good job, creating creating beats in the script and conveying things through other means outside of dialogue. And so I think when you're writing, if you can master the art of not just relying solely on dialogue to tell your story, but still writing it out in a way that allows for that space, for it to really manifest into something great, then I think that's great writing. I think you should aspire for that. I think you should strive to write a screenplay like that. And out of all these films, I think the screenplay that resonates with me the most was probably The Substance. Although I love The Brutalist, I love Anora. I think these are all great films. So who I want to win is The Substance. But who I think will win, this is a toss-up. I think it's going to be between Conclave and The Brutalist. And I really don't know. I think it might go to Conclave. Honestly. The Conclave had a lot of powerful dialogue, and I think near the end there was a lot of really brilliant stuff. So I think it might be that. Again, it's a toss-up. It's a really competitive year this year, and this is tough. There's generally you have pretty obvious, winners. Generally there's a lot of overlap between the award shows, but this year it's very split. And I think that actually makes it quite exciting, Finally, we have Best Picture. Oh man, drum roll please. First, we have Anora, The Brutalist, A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Dune Part 2, Amelia Perez, I'm Still Here, Nickel Boys, The Substance, and Wicked. Oh my goodness. This is by far one of the most exciting lineups in the history of the Oscars for Best Picture. I've never seen anything this excited. I've never seen anything this exciting. It was so fun to watch all these movies. And let me go through some of these. So Anora, I love Anora. Again, I mentioned this earlier. I love how invested I got with Mikey's character. Anora was compelling. It was fun. It was awesome. I do have a soft spot for Anora. The Brutalist, I didn't think I was going to like The Brutalist this much. This is a movie. This is a great film. I think the cast did a phenomenal job. I think this has potential to win Best Picture just because how freaking phenomenal it was. I think with A Complete Unknown, I'm not a Bob Dylan fan. I think I mentioned this earlier. I don't know much of his music, but Timothee embodied this character so well. And I think Bob is a character that you can get corny if you don't act him properly. And I think Timothee's performance really gave this movie a lot of life. And I think Timothee was one of the main reasons this movie is so phenomenal. And so I think this is deserving to be here. Do I think it's Best Picture worthy, like to win? I don't know. I think it definitely is deserving to be in this category. Like if you look at Bohemian Rhapsody, that wasn't really that great of a film. Like Bohemian Rhapsody was really fun to watch, but it wasn't a great film. It was just a fun watch. In this case, A Complete Unknown is great. It gets into the complexities of Bob Dylan's life, his personality, the twists and turns that he dealt with. And I think it deserves to be there. Now with Conclave has all the piping hot tea. Where to even begin? Like a film about cardinals and religious figures spilling secrets about each other. This film had an unexpected twist at the end, and the cast of this film was 10 out of 10. I think actually Conclave, in my opinion, was the best casted film. And I think the storytelling in Conclave was phenomenal. This is really tough because I just wrote down some notes here and I'm moved by all these films. The only one I'm not moved by is Amelia Perez. I'm going to be honest. I'm not really moved by Amelia Perez. But I understand what they were going for. I think they missed the mark. I didn't talk much about I'm Still Here. I think I'm Still Here has great storytelling. I think it's such a sad but beautiful retelling of a family suffering during a horrific regime. And I'm Still Here for me as an Iranian really, it strikes a chord because I firsthand have witnessed, family and friends dealing with these kind of regimes. It's still happening to this day, right? And so seeing how this family dealt with a horrible dictatorship back in the 70s and how they endured an emotional toll and had to deal with loss and denial and even like reinventing yourself and starting over. Like, these are themes that really resonated with me. And to me, again, I mentioned this before, it's a perfect film. It's subtle. It's not over the top. It does a great job retelling the story of this family. And it's a true story. So I'm Still Here is a very tough competitor for this category. If I were to choose someone, I would still give it to The Substance. I just think The Substance, for who I want to win, The Substance, to me, it was my favorite film of the year, hands down. To me, The Substance is a film I think about almost every day. And I think about it because I have pretty extreme body dysmorphia. I've had body dysmorphia my whole life. And while they depict The Substance from the POV of an aging woman, I think a lot of the themes and motifs in the film can be relevant to anyone. I see The Substance being parallel to, men and women who abuse steroids to look a certain way. And when you abuse steroids, when you abuse performance enhancing drugs in order to, temporarily look a certain way, you're trading off years from your life on the back end. You see what I'm saying? Like, yeah, sure, you might be really lit and really sexy for like a few years if you're using drugs like Tren or high amounts of testosterone or whatever. But, you're risking your health, from liver disease to heart failure to a lot of other things. And so I think there's actually a big parallel with The Substance and people abusing steroids and PEDs today. It's very parallel to me. And so that film, I just think it, when I'm looking at these films, the film I think about the most is The Substance. And I saw The Substance quite a while back. And the fact that I'm still thinking about it compared to some of these films that I just watched like yesterday and 2 days ago, the fact that I'm still thinking about The Substance and I saw it, a lot earlier than these films, I think it just, to me, makes it deserving of Best Picture. And I think, again, it checks off all the boxes, from casting to cinematography to the production design. It's just a cool film. And for me as a music video director, someone who's done, projects that kind of have a similar aesthetic, I think it's really cool. And I hope it wins. I think Everything Everywhere All at Once really kind of like changed how we view award-winning films. And I think this movie, The Substance pushes that boundary forward as well. So that's my personal favorite for who I want to win. Who I think will win, on the other hand, is a tough one. This is kind of a split vote. Conclave won the BAFTA award. Yeah, Conclave won the BAFTAs. The Brutalist won the drama category at the Golden Globes, and Emilia Perez won the musical/comedy category. So I don't know. If I had to guess one movie for Best Picture, it's a toss-up between Anora and The Brutalist, but I'm gonna go with The Brutalist. It's bold, it's risque, but I think The Brutalist has got this one in the bag. And I don't disagree with it. I just personally am a fanboy of The Substance. This is my 2025 Oscar prediction video. Thanks for watching, y'all. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being a part of this journey. We are moving quick. I'm trying to still, I'm being consistent with my episode drops. I really actually enjoyed making this episode. This is actually the first episode I didn't fully script out. I kind of just came in with some notes. I wrote down the movies, some of my thoughts, and I was winging it. So if you like this episode, and if you like how I did this episode, please let me know. And let's keep it rocking. Let's enjoy the Oscars. I hope you guys all have an amazing Oscar weekend. Let's see how my predictions unfold. Let me know if you agree or disagree with me. And I'll be in touch with you soon. I got an amazing guest coming up. All right, y'all. Thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. Thanks for being a part of my journey. And most importantly, I want to give a big round of applause to ourselves. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all for the Oscar. Thank you for the Academy Award. I want to thank the Academy for